Want to let go of negative emotions? Then watch this video. Hi guys, it's Hannah here, Hannah Mindful Mother, helping you to live your absolute dream life. So today I'm going to talk you through a method to help you let go of negative emotions. Now what this is the AWARE method. So the A stands for becoming aware, awareness. The W stands for welcome. The next A stands for action. The R stands for release. And the E stands for elevate. So when we have negative emotions, what's the first thing we tend to do? We don't want to feel them, so we tend to run away, hide from them, push them away. But what happens? The more you push, the more they push back. The faster you try and run, the faster they run and they catch you up. And if you try and hide, they will find you. It just doesn't work. So the first thing we need to do is become truly aware of the emotions. And by doing this, we're going to become aware as the observer. So you become aware of how you're physically feeling when you're in the emotion. How is your body responding to this emotion? And what am I actually thinking? What's my actual thought process when I'm in this emotion? So often those thoughts will just, they're there, they're automatic. You don't really know what you're thinking. But of course, what is happening is when you think a negative thought, you are now going to be producing hormones and chemicals that are going to be sent into your body to make your body feel that emotion. And then when you feel that emotion, your body's going to send these signals back up to your brain, and you're going to think a thought, again corresponding to that negative emotion, but this time the thought is going to be worse. So let me give you an example. Say it's COVID we're talking about, and the first thought you may feel is, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling to not being able to see my friends at the moment. And then that will send a signal to your body, and you start to feel a little bit funny in your tummy, not that great. And then this signal goes back up to your brain, and this time the thought could be, I'm never going to see my friends again. And then that thought will send another signal to your body, and your body now will respond in even worse way. You'll start to feel maybe a bit sick, maybe you're really tense, you begin to feel quite jittery. And then maybe this will definitely send another signal back up to your brain, but this time the thought will be even worse. This time it could be something like, I can't cope, I just can't cope. And you see it's getting worse and worse, and this is the cycle. It's a negative spiral, a downward spiral of negativity. So, but by becoming aware of actually what you're thinking, not this, these thoughts that are just, you're not really aware of what they are, but you're becoming truly aware of your thoughts, you can now begin to become the observer of them and see them for what they are and interrupt that cycle. You are now not in that automatic cycle anymore. And the same with your feelings. When you become truly aware of your physical sensations, you are now becoming the observer. You are looking in rather than being in that emotion and allowing that automatic cycle between thought and feeling to thought to feeling, and feeling worse and worse and worse, but not really being aware of what you're thinking or what you're feeling, just knowing you feel terrible and you're thinking in this negative way. You are now becoming aware as the observer. And so now you can begin to change that. So it's incredible. Now the next thing, the W, is welcome. So you need to welcome in this emotion. You need to welcome them in. Remember what I said about pushing away and running away. If you do this, they're just going to catch you up. You're never going to free yourself from these emotions. So you need to welcome in these emotions and say, I have a chance to learn from you, and this is okay. And when you do this, and when you accept these emotions, then suddenly they don't have the power over you anymore. It was in the pushing, it was in the running, that you had built them up so much that they had become a problem and really caused you to not be free of them and caused you more and more problems. But now that you will bring them in and welcome them, then you will actually begin to be free of them, because you are saying, you are not a problem in my life anymore. We have our shadows, we have these negative emotions there, but it's whether we choose to follow them or not. And if you welcome them in, you can choose to also then let them go. And then you can bring in the higher emotions of love and other positive high vibrational emotions as well, which brings me on to the A for action. So the best way to change anything is to actually begin to, it's awareness, but begin to meditate. Why? Because when we meditate, we can come and bring ourselves down from the high beta brainwave state, where our brain is like this, really incoherent, not the different parts of the brain aren't talking to each other, and we're not really truly aware because we're such in high stress mode and survival mode. We are bringing our brainwave in meditation down from that, our brainwave state, from high beta goes to low beta, then it will go to alpha, and then when you're fully meditating, it will be in low alpha or theta, probably. It has been said that some people can still meditate in delta. Delta tends to be when we are sleeping, but some people in a very, very deep meditative state will be actually in delta, but we tend to be in low alpha or theta. So when we're there, we can now influence our subconscious, because our subconscious is where everything is happening. Remember, 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 is in our subconscious. It's habitual, it's automatic. So we need to get into that subconscious so that we can change our habitual way of being, our habitual thinking. So that negative emotion had become very often habitual. That negative way of thinking had become automatic. We weren't even aware of how it started or why we were doing it. So we need to get into that subconscious so we can change it. So that's where meditation comes in. It's a very, very powerful process. And then we can also do things like gratitude practice. Now, when we practice gratitude in the morning, before we even get out of bed, and also before we go to bed, we are changing the neurological connections as well in our brain, and we will then tune in to what is amazing in our life, and that will make such a difference to us. Then also, as I was talking about changing your habits, using your meditation to change your habitual way of thinking and feeling, you can also actually change what you physically do. So if, for example, you get out of bed on the other side this morning and you start to tune into maybe you are on your phone too much, and you stop being on your phone quite as much, and you actually interrupt again that habitual way of being. Perhaps you just are addicted to a Netflix series, and you will stop yourself doing that and choose to do your meditation and choose to do some gratitude practice or choose to do your affirmations instead. This is actually changing the way you're doing things. You could walk a different way to work that day, or run on a different way, go a completely different route. You could clean your teeth with your opposite hand, change your routine about, and this now is also sending the signal that you are not living in that automatic habitual way anymore, and it's going to make a huge difference. Now, what's happened is when you feel these negative emotions, every time you have felt them, you have strengthened connections in your brain to actually make you feel that way. So like I said, it's become automatic, and you are now going to be in that automatic response without really realizing it's become habitual. Now, every time we change our habits and we do our meditations and we tune into the higher vibrational emotions of love, we can actually start to weaken those connections. So we can actually change who we actually fundamentally are, and then we can start to actually strengthen connections for these higher emotions, and then we will feel very, very different. So we've got to the A, and that's action. The next thing is release, which actually comes back to meditation. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to try and analyze why we have been feeling a certain way. Don't try to analyze. If you try and analyze whilst in the emotion, it's just going to make things worse. You cannot change anything while in the emotion, while in that state of the emotion. Einstein, his famous quote that says you cannot change anything, I can't remember it exactly, but the Einstein quote, you cannot change anything while in the energy of that emotion. So what you want to do is, in your meditation, when you have brought yourself down to that low alpha to theta brainwave state, and you are starting to let go of the negative emotion, and you are calm, and you are tuning into this wonderful loving energy all around you, and you can tune into your heart, focus upon your heartbeat. Feel that energy. Rub your hands together and just rub your hands together now and just feel that energy there. Feel the energy. That energy is this universal, loving, all loving, unconditionally loving. It loves you unconditionally energy. And we are part of that energy. That is who we are. It's part of us and we are part of it. So when we tune into that energy, then we need to begin to know that it's greater than us. So we want to stop trying to analyze the negative emotion. How can we change this negative emotion, knowing that it will only make it worse? It will only make our brain more incoherent. And we actually want to now just simply let it go. So now you have become aware, much more aware of the way you're acting, feeling, thinking in the emotion. You have become to take action to change that emotion, and you have welcomed that in. Now what we're going to do is declare the emotion you want to change. What is it you want to change? So say it's anger. You can actually think of a statement. You could say, I have been angry for so many years. I'm ready to let it go. I now let it go. And just say it out loud, declare it, this all loving, universal energy, and trust that it will sort it out for you. Just by declaring it, you are now going to free yourself from it. It's the same with any other emotion you feel, whether it's anxiety, whether you have anxious thoughts, whether you feel really, really down, whether you feel frustrated, whether you need to forgive yourself. You know, that's a really strong one. So if you feel guilt, you could say, I have felt guilty for so long now. I'm ready to let it go. I have always punished myself, and now I'm letting it go. And just that. So you could say guilt, just say guilt. I'm ready to let this go. Whatever is right for you, but come out with a statement and say it out loud. It might be hard to say it out loud, but do it anyway. You know those moments when it's really cold water and the sea's in front of you, or something's really, and you could try and do it slowly, but it makes it really, really hard. Or you can just dive in and actually then you're fine. Okay, that's what you need to do in this situation, is just say it out loud, and you will feel a sense of freedom just by doing that. And remember, this universal energy doesn't judge you. Saying your statement to another person could be hard. Why? Because they're another person and there's ego involved, and you could fear the sense of resentment or rejection or separation or fear being judged. But this universal energy around us doesn't judge us at all, because it's part of us. There's no judgment, there can be no separation, there can be no rejection. So you just say it, and by saying it out loud, you are freeing yourself from it in the moment. So then that brings me on to elevate. This is the really exciting part. You have freed yourself from the emotion by doing this work. It is a process. Now you are going to take your life to the next level by visualizing how you want to be. Okay, you can visualize how you want to be now. You have you become aware of the old you. You have accepted that in. You have now declared it to this universal energy. You now can actually choose a scenario as well where you potentially might go back to feeling that old emotion, and you can mentally change that and say, I'm going to turn this around. This isn't loving to me. That's a really important one as well. I'm going to turn this around. Every single time you become conscious of that negative emotion, you are literally going to be weakening those connections in your brain for that negative response, for that negative emotion, and you are going to strengthen those connections for the higher vibrational emotions of love. And that's where the elevate comes in, is in your meditation. Then you begin to tune in to love. You begin to place your hands on your heart, like I said, focus on your heartbeat and tune into somebody you just love so much. Tune into that love, feel that love, and now just bring it in, and now visualize your ideal self. Visualize yourself somewhere with the people you love, being the person you want to be. You feel so beautiful. You are so beautiful. Feel this now. Feel what's it going to feel like under your feet? What are the smells around you? What can you see around you? And visualize that now. And this visualization will take you to the next level of your life as well. Guys, the Aware Method. And guys, remember to subscribe to my channel, share my videos with your friends if you think they could help them, and remember to press the bell icon so you get notifications of all my new videos. I'm sending you so much love. Bye bye.